Can you see this? Can you see this? Can you see this? Of course you can. This is the iPhone Air. I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about it right here. This is my review for the new Apple iPhone Air, and it is a beauty. I mean, the first thing that you see is how thin is this bad boy? 5.6 millimeters at its thinnest point, okay? We know that there's another phone, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge out there here in the US, 5.8 millimeters. Those are really close, but the biggest thing is no matter what you see in pictures, no matter what videos you've seen of mine, you've got to hold this, you've got to feel this, and it just hits different in hand. And once I picked this up, I haven't been able to stop thinking about this because the design, this is arguably peak design when it comes to Apple and a phone, right? Just incredibly thin and light, but also sturdy. We've seen Apple be pretty confident about how this is going to be able to handle itself over time, but this polished titanium frame, which is part of that, it almost has this, like, I don't want to say stickiness, but it doesn't slip and slide and doesn't feel like that, where maybe other iPhones, you're like, oh, I could drop this. I've been using this without a case. I've been using this with a bumper case. I've been using it in all different ways, and I have still yet to almost drop it. Maybe it'll happen in this review. I hope not, right? But what makes this special is its durability, right? The first thing that everyone's talking about is how will it stand? Well, I went behind the scenes with Apple and saw a machine that they placed this in, and they were able to, I mean, I'm gonna try and press right here, right in the center. It doesn't, just trust me on this. If you want to bend something, we're going to see people try and torture test this thing. Yeah, it will bend, but Apple's pretty confident that it will bend, but it will not break. I saw it go under 132 pounds of direct pressure in the center, and it was still completely fine, completely usable, and just the same form that I had before. So from a durability standpoint, you're also getting Ceramic Shield 2. That's 3 times as durable on the front from scratches, nicks, bumps, and bruises. On the back, it's using Ceramic Shield, which is 4 times more durable than the previous glass backing of the other iPhones from last year's generation. So from a durability standpoint, IP68, that's dust and water resistance, this checks off all the boxes. Now let's look at this and talk about maybe some of the design elements. Yes, you have the plateau on the back. This houses the camera, the processor, all the components really, and then the rest of this body is basically a battery and then a display, which is, again, this is just incredible. But we're going to look at here, first thing you might see, the dynamic island, just to let you know, slightly lower than it is on something like the 17 Pro or some of your previous iPhones. So that's been dropped down just a tiny bit. Then the other thing here, custom built. You may not think about this, but when Apple designed this, there was not a USB-C port that was small enough to fit in this phone. So they custom 3D printed their own USB-C port so that it would match the specs specifically for this phone. Now, the one thing to note about that is the USB-C transfer speeds directly through a cable. If you do that, it's at 48 megabits per second. Now, if you look at the iPhone 17 Pro that has USB-C 3.2, that's 10 gigabits per second. But I'm gonna tell you, it's been rare that I've actually physically connected my phone to a device to transfer the files. I think it does matter more on a Pro phone where you might be shooting high quality ProRes RAW type video, but here for the Air, I don't think it really makes that much of a difference, but it's something I want to let you know. Other design elements, there's only a single speaker here at the top. So if I play music or audio, it comes from here. If you're watching landscape video or anything like that, you only get a single source for the sound. So that's just purely because of the design. I think for most people who are looking at this phone, they're not going to care about that. But for some people, like, hey, I need the stereo audio, and it matters. It really does matter to some people. You might even look down on the bottom here, the holes next to this USB-C port, those are not speakers. Those are actually holes for the microphone. Now, the other thing about the design here that Apple is getting a little tricky with this, if you look at the whole lineup, those are Pro type colors. You have space black, you have light gold, you have cloud white, and you have this sky blue. Guess what? That space black, that gold color, they're not on the actual 17 Pros, and I think this is a very deliberate decision by Apple to play that color psychology game for someone who's on the fence between a Pro or an Air, and maybe it's the design, maybe it's their color of choice, and they're the type of user that's okay with, right, a single camera in the back that comes down to the Air and that color factors into it. I don't know, but Apple, I see you. I know what you're doing, and it's kind of messing with me and other people. So enough about the design. Bottom line, the design on this is freaking incredible. Let's talk about the performance here, all right? We know this, an A19 Pro chip inside, 6-core CPU, 5-core GPU. That is one less cores for the GPU, which means, yes, maybe not as top tier graphics performance, but from the games and the different interactions that I've tried using this with, that didn't matter, okay? So you're getting pro performance on this. The other thing that we want to talk about, though, everyone's asking is, well, this doesn't have the vapor cooling chamber, so how does it perform? Well, I put it to the test. I went out to the Family Style Food Fest put on by Complex here in LA. It was a hot day, and you know when you're using your camera, you're using your phone, that's gonna really test the thermals of this. I will say, this phone pretty much got as hot as previous models, 16 Pro, 15 Pro, when you're using the camera in that hot light, when the screen, even though this is a 3000 nits display, when you have a little hard time seeing the display, you can tell it's getting hot, and I felt the heat here around the edges. The thing is that iPhone users for a long time are probably used to that, and look, the Pros, no matter what, the 17 Pros do have better cooling. The heat dissipates a whole lot better. I just want to let you know that, will you feel the heat on this device? It completely makes sense that you would. It's thinner, there's no vapor cooling chamber. It's something to be aware of, but this is not, it didn't get so hot that you couldn't hold it. It's just one of those things. This is the performance that happens in a device in a form factor like this. The other thing everyone's wondering about, talking about the battery performance on this device. Now, Apple's done something clever here. They've actually have their battery in a stainless steel enclosure, and that's allowed it to use a higher density lithium ion battery to give it better performance. Now, Apple measures it at 27 hours of video playback, but let's be real world use and how you use your devices, how I use mine versus how you use yours is gonna be different. It's gonna be a little bit all over the place. But going to this food fest, I think is a real true test of how well it did, right? Camera being used in the heat we were out there for about 2.5, 3 hours. I've been using the phone normally, checking email, messaging, taking photos, taking videos, and I can say right now, it's almost 7 p.m., and if I look at the battery life on this, we're at 24%. Now, think about this. We're gonna be able to easily get through, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., if I just use my phone normally for the rest of the day or the rest of the night. So for me, I'm confident, and I've used this in other days, but this was really the torture test day of the battery life. I'm confident that I'm gonna be able to get through this with a day really easily. Let's bring in my friend here, the iPhone Air MagSafe battery pack, because this is part of the discussion. This adds 13 additional hours of video playback to this. It magnetically pops on, so this would get you, a total of 40 hours of use. Now, here's the thing. I do not think this is necessary. I do think this is great to have in your kit, maybe throw it in your bag if you think you're gonna be at something like a theme park, but I do not feel like I really need this. What's also cool about this is this can basically act as a bit of a power bank, because this USB-C port here, you can connect a cable and then connect another device to it to charge it. So this is more than just a battery pack for the iPhone Air. It's also a little bit of a power bank. So you have some versatility with it. This is a $99 battery pack, but I don't feel like you absolutely need it. So those of you who are wondering, oh, I got to get a pack, it's going to make this phone thick. I don't really think so, but it's a good option that you have. Just some battery information just to compare how this performs with the Pros, because a lot of you are making that decision. This does charge about 50% in 30 minutes, where you get to the iPhone 17 Pro line. Those will charge 50% in 20 minutes. So a little faster charging there as well. Let's talk about some of the other hardware that contributes to the performance of this. Like I said, pretty much a full day of battery life. The new C1X modem. This is custom made by Apple. Now, it supports sub 6 gigahertz. There's 2 flavors of 5G, but it does not support millimeter wave. That may or may not be an issue to you. I found millimeter wave working sometimes in those dense city areas, but someone who might be a stickler, the performance tests on the modem have shown that it is more than capable and more than good, not lacking, but millimeter wave not a part of this equation. Now, the networking chip in here, this is the N1, another chip put together by Apple. That includes Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread capabilities for other devices, smart home devices. Let's talk about the Wi-Fi 7 chip, because there's a bandwidth limitation. Now, it supports 160 megahertz channel bandwidth. That is actually below the, let's say, the full capacity of 320. The difference here, though, is most of the time the carriers that you have with your internet, they're already limited and bottlenecked, but in theory, this will not reach the highest capable speeds because of that. But again, most people don't have access to that. So is that damaging for a user for this? That's going to be up to you, but all the Wi-Fi stuff that I've used it with, it works perfectly fine. I've never, unless someone told me that, I would have never even blinked an eye. But overall, the N1 chip inside, right, this has been made specifically to optimize the battery life, to be efficient with power consumption, and all of these things, the C1X, the A19 Pro, all of this, the high density battery contributes to the performance here. Okay, next up, we've got to talk about the back here, right? We know maybe the most, I won't say controversial, but the biggest decider here most likely has been how you use your camera, right? This is a 48 megapixel fusion lens, which gives you a 2x telephoto. That's it, right? There are no other camera lenses here on the backside. Now, someone who's a pro like me on the daily, I'm used to the versatility of having a great telephoto, having ultra wide, which I use all the time. Now, I found that I could get by with it. There were times where you could see me, taking a photo, and because I'm used to just hitting that ultra wide and not being able to, I had to kind of like lean back a little to fit everything in frame. I had to change my body position at times just to get everything framed the way I wanted, because now you're gonna kind of have to do some of the work of the lens that you didn't have to before. But there's a fun workaround, in case you didn't know. This is my workaround, not truly, but we know that we have an 18 megapixel center stage camera here on the front. Now, if you look here, right, it does have the ability to have a wider view on it. And so if you really are a stickler and you need a wider shot without moving your body, I say go to the front camera, hold it above your head, look up, frame it, you can take the picture. So technically this does kind of have an ultra wide. But when you look at this, photos look great, videos still look great, right? We're still getting 4K video support here. All of the camera is not any weaker, it's just that it doesn't have the versatility of 3 cameras. So you're gonna really have to decide for yourself how you use your phone, or if you're even willing to adapt to how you use your phone camera because you're so in love with this design, and I'm not even kidding, I'm pretty sure some of you are. So now, after showing you all that, all the features, all the differences, all this, the sacrifices between this model and the Pro, the biggest question is, who is this phone really for, right? Who does this make sense for? Clearly, if you're the Apple zealot who will buy anything that Apple has, but specifically, right, something designed like this, that there has been a dialogue that, oh, Apple doesn't have the design chops anymore. I think that squashes that conversation and says, yes, they are still here. This is the thinnest, the sexiest, most elegant phone that they have ever made. It brings me back to the days of the iPhone 10, but now even thinner. And that was peak design for me at the time. So this is an incredible design, and yes, there are people who will basically buy anything that Apple puts out, but if you love that, if you're you're right in that lane, you're gonna get this. I think this also makes sense for someone like the business corporate exec, or that user. You don't even have to be an exec. That user that wants to have the coolest, sleekest, sexiest thing. You can literally do everything that you want from a performance standpoint. I think when reviews first come out, a lot of us are content creators and we speak about it from a content creation side. Oh, it doesn't have the cameras that I need. Guess what? Not everyone needs all those cameras. So it's up to you to really figure out where you stand with how you use your camera, maybe how you might adjust the way you use your camera specifically for this phone. But the power, the battery life, the performance, the display, it checks off all the boxes when it comes to that. And then, you look at this price point, $999 with 256 gigs of storage. That is, in this package, a great value from Apple. Now, the biggest thing I can say about this is Apple has put out a super compelling lineup, $799 for the iPhone 17. But when you get to here and the iPhone 17 Pro, they're now making it a hard decision. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, ooh, should I go Pro for the design, or should I get the Pro because it has the extra features? That's the greatest compliment I can give Apple with this. They've actually made it hard for people to make a decision now between these phones, even though they are distinctly different. This design also signals to us what it means for Apple's design future, right? A thin phone Clearly, we're gonna be going along with this trend for a while, and also other form factors, foldables. Apple's own execs even said that this got them as close to a piece of glass that they ever have. You don't say that if that's not the final goal or the final intention, and so this design is the future of Apple. So when I look at this, when I hold this, obviously I love it. I think my heart says go with the iPhone Air, but my brain says go with the iPhone 17 Pro, and I'm gonna have to see what I do. I love to find out what you do. Put it in the comments, and we'll see you next time. But there you go, iPhone Air review, and it is incredible.